Climate change is a global problem that will require a global solution, but not all countries carry equal responsibilities. The world's biggest emitters can make the biggest difference because over half of CO2 emissions come from 4 territories: China, the US, India and Europe. The EU's 27 member states, along with the UK, produce more than 7% of all CO2. And for the latest in this series, let's consider what the EU is doing about that.
The overarching goal was, and of course is, to make Europe the very first climate-neutral continent in the world. We know where we want to go and what we need to do to get there.
And some progress has been made. From 1990 to 2020, the EU reduced its emissions by a quarter, beating its own targets. Now, though, the aim is to reach 55% of 1990 levels by 2030. It also aims to get to 40% of its energy from renewables by the same point. The strategy to get there includes carrots and sticks.
You have to accept to change business models and behavior of investors to finance green investments and to penalize those who don't make this move.
And the EU is clear on the scale of the task.
Nothing we have presented today is going to be easy. It's going to be bloody hard.
That's one way of putting it, and key to the EU's climate plan is emissions trading. Here's the President of the European Commission again.
The principle is simple. Emission of CO2 must have a price on CO2 that incentivizes consumer, producers and innovators to choose the clean technologies.
Under emissions trading, industries are allowed to emit a certain amount of CO2 with the allowance cut over time. It's the main tool being used to wean EU industry off the dirtiest fuels. And first and foremost among them is coal. Poland gets 70% of its energy from coal. The government is investing to change this, but its deadline to stop using coal is 2049. Then there's Germany. It produces more coal emissions than any other EU country. And if you look at the top 10 entities that produce emissions in the EU, 6 of them are German coal power stations. This does look likely to change, though. The parties in talks to form a new coalition government in Germany have agreed to end coal by 2030. Olaf Scholz from the Social Democrats is tipped to be the next Chancellor.
It will be the biggest industrial modernisation project that Germany has undertaken in probably more than 100 years, and it will greatly benefit our economy.
For other EU members, though, there remain practical concerns about the shift to clean energy. This is the outgoing Czech Prime Minister.
The Czech Republic is a very industrial country, a specific country. We don't have the sea, we don't have many renewable resources.
And while its member states grapple with finding clean energy sources, the European Union is also tightening its transport policies. Tighter emission limits for cars are coming. That will effectively end new petrol and diesel vehicle sales by 2035. And for air travel, there will be a new tax on jet fuel. France has gone even further, passing a law banning domestic flights where the same journey could be made by train in 2.5 hours or less. That, though, is one example. In many others, of course, Europeans still fly. And to use policies to change habits, well, people need to be persuaded, as President Macron well knows. Back in 2018, the Gilets jaunes protests in France were triggered by a rise in green taxes on petrol. And the president drew this conclusion.
This revolution, if you want it to happen, we have to help middle classes and poor people to make this change with us. I'm sure about that now.
Some are worried about the pace and the cost of climate policies. Others, though, worry they're not enough. The campaign group Greenpeace argues this whole package is based on a target that is too low. Celebrating these policies is like a high jumper claiming a medal for running under the bar. Well, some EU members are trying to move the bar up. Finland wants to be carbon neutral by 2035, Sweden by 2045. Bear in mind the EU's target overall is 2050, just like the UK. And if that's in the long term, right now the blue line here shows current EU emissions. It's almost on track for its 2030 target. And as it pursues this, one word comes up a lot.
At the end of the day, people are most worried, is this going to be fair? I think fairness is a crucial point here. Fairness within societies and fairness between member states.
Fairness is crucial. We see that in every country. Is there a risk that a sense of unfairness becomes a reason not to act? And fundamentally, the EU will be judged by the speed and the scale of its emissions cuts.